Hi friends, I'm Rebecca Stuhlbarg, or Becca, you can call me Becca. Welcome to my channel. And I am a singing yogini, a throat chakra witch, and I founded my business SingFree Vocal Yoga with the purpose to help people to align their spines, their bodies, and more than that, also we'll talk about that in a moment, but we work on alignment, deepening our breath, and freeing your voice. So I incorporate yogic techniques and philosophy into my voice training. So I want to talk to you today about the core principles of SingFree Vocal Yoga. And these are principles that have emerged, I didn't make them up of course, but that I've discovered are very applicable and important when we are training our voice. And also, I'll start with just this basic message of everyone has a voice. If you can talk, you can sing. And I love to work with students of all kinds, of all levels, and in all styles. Maybe not all, but most styles. I love to work with singer-songwriter, musicians, and people who are just starting out their path of vocal discovery and finding their own unique voice, discovering what that is. I love to introduce people to their voice. So beyond that, I just want to touch on briefly these core principles of my approach of SingFree Vocal Yoga, and you can read more about this in my most recent blog, which is up at www.rebeccastuhlbarg, don't forget that H in there, .com, and then just navigate to the blog. So my core principles that I work with my students are, first of all, alignment. Now, I mentioned that before, we align our spines. Great. First of all, it's somewhat of a longer process than just going, oh, stand up straight. It's wonderful to, yes, be aware of our posture, or rather our alignment. I like the word alignment better than posture because posture feels rigid. And so just finding that awareness of, am I standing tall rather than straight, just feeling that tall neutral spine throughout the day, and especially when we sing, and therefore we are much more able to feel expansion through the ribs, openness through the chest, and take a full and deep breath. So alignment is of course very, very important in singing, and there are those subtle nuances in your alignment that can make a big difference that I'll be able to catch for you if I have you one-on-one in a lesson, or even one of my smaller group classes. And so of course the physical aspect of that is important, but also beyond that, if we think of how can we align with what is true for us on a higher level, with something that is greater than just our own individual experience. So how can we align with the music that we are singing, with perhaps the composer or songwriter? If you are your own songwriter, align with your own muse or your own intention behind what you were trying to say in that song. And that's just one example of another way alignment can be interpreted. So beyond that, another core principle that has emerged is acceptance. So whenever we are singing, it's just very common for many of us, especially beginners in the singing journey, to notice something in our voice that we don't really like, you know, that we kind of go, ugh. So it's a wonderful way to practice non-judgment, or noticing the judgment, becoming aware of it, and then releasing it. And what I always recommend is, can we transform that judgment into curiosity? So that's another very key principle of developing that skill. It is a skill, and it helps us in our singing and in our lives, a skill of connecting with curiosity rather than judgment. So using statements like, I wonder how singing through this phrase can be easier. I wonder how I could get a little softer but maintain my control, or maintain my breath flow and what I'm wanting to express, right? So using those kind of I wonder statements are much more helpful than going, ooh, I didn't like that, right? So we develop that skill. When I work with my students, I really encourage people to listen, or to not listen, to listen to the inner coach and to me, and I'm helping you to develop your inner coach rather than your inner critic. and also to start to not listen externally, but internally. So listen more towards what you're imagining internally that you want to bring forth, and to also feel in your body what is going on. So being really in your body helps so much, of course, because you are your instrument when you are a singer. And so observing without judgment the sensations in your body and that breath flow, observing the breath. So just keeping that awareness focused on those things is really key. So that brings us to our next one, which is awareness is a very key principle. And that is really the overarching principle through all of this is, can we develop that awareness of staying really in the moment, observing what's there for you, and being curious how to move forward, okay? Keeping that alignment with your intention and with your physicality, everything else with the music, and just staying in the moment, flowing with it. So it's really a wonderful practice if you are wanting to go deeper with your yoga practice, or if you're wanting to do some self-exploration. Singing can be an incredible way of getting to know yourself and develop some wonderful skills that are going to really serve you in your life. So there's one last principle that I want to touch on, and that is commitment. So can we truly commit to our own growth and truly commit to what it is you are expressing in each moment? Oftentimes, especially if you're coming from that yogic perspective, there will be a little bit of hesitation or a little feeling of like, I'm observing, but from a kind of zoomed out place where you're not like fully in it, you're not fully dropped in and fully in your body and fully there. And of course, we don't mean to do that, but sometimes in the spiritual community, we tend to be a little floaty, a little like, I'm observing, isn't this interesting? But you're not fully in the experience. Singing really asks us to be fully in the experience and dropped into our bodies. And it really doesn't work otherwise. So it's a wonderful way to practice that commitment. And then we can take that into our lives and really commit to our growth, commit to being in the moment, commit to just being authentically ourselves. That's so important. So I hope that this is helpful for some of you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below, reach out to me via email or through my website, RebeccaStuhlbarg.com. And thank you so much for watching and for liking and subscribing. That really helps. Thank you. Namaste.